After the release of Mass Effect 2, it was clear to the entire gaming world that Casey Hudson and his team at Bioware were already working on the third and final game in their Mass Effect trilogy. With 2 successful installments under their belt and the freedom to put the game on any platform thanks to their new publisher EA, Mass Effect 3 was slowly becoming one of the most anticipated games of the late 7th generation. But this release wouldn't come without controversy, and the disdain from fans over the trilogy's ending is still a hot topic to this day. The finale of the Mass Effect trilogy comes to a close with the story of Mass Effect 3. The 2010 Spike Video Game Awards saw Bioware at the top of their game. Mass Effect 2 was nominated for 9 different awards at the show, including Game of the Year. Bioware walked away with 3 awards that evening, including the coveted Studio of the Year award. The biggest news of the show, however, came from the announcement of Mass Effect 3 with its release date of holiday 2011. The minute-long teaser followed the reveals of previous titles and didn't show any gameplay. Instead, a CGI trailer showed the Reapers, the overarching antagonistic threat of the trilogy, coming to Earth to wreak havoc. Mass Effect 3's announcement didn't come as a surprise given Bioware's intentions to make a trilogy of games. What did surprise some was the list of launch platforms. For the first time ever, a Mass Effect game would launch on Xbox 360, PC, and PlayStation 3 all on the same day. The announcement came only a month before the release of Mass Effect 2 on PlayStation 3, showing Bioware's and EA's hopes of expanding the franchise beyond its core base of PC and Xbox users. For the production of Mass Effect 3, the team at Bioware began working on the third title before Mass Effect 2 was finished. Casey Hudson once again returned to direct, and focused on once again improving the core gameplay of Mass Effect to appeal to a wider audience. Mac Walters, co-writer for Mass Effect 2, joined the Mass Effect 3 team as head writer for the third entry, as Drew Karpyshyn left to work on Bioware's new Star Wars MMO, Star Wars: The Old Republic. On the narrative side, Bioware wanted to make Mass Effect 3 more accessible to newcomers, something that Mass Effect 2 struggled to pull off properly without previous knowledge of the series. Mass Effect 3 was a technically challenging game to make. The script required 40,000 lines of dialogue to be recorded in order to properly take advantage of the game's many unique scenarios and the choices the players made over the previous 2 entries. For comparison, Mass Effect 1 had roughly half that many lines of dialogue, and Mass Effect 2 clocked in at about 25,000. A 2-year timetable was given for Mass Effect 3, but it quickly became clear that the game would need more time to achieve the same level of polish as BioWare's other games. In May of 2011, Mass Effect 3 was delayed from its original Q4 2011 release to Q1 2012. Mass Effect 3's first major showcase came in May of 2011 at E3. During Microsoft's press conference, BioWare co-founder Rei Muzaka came on stage. Kinect support for Mass Effect 3 was announced and showcased during a live demo. Kinect support for Mass Effect 3 was limited compared to what many of the other Kinect games showed. With the Kinect, commands to squad mates could now be performed with your voice as opposed to button presses. During conversations, the player could choose dialogue options by saying them out loud, again removing the need to press a button. The demo ended with Muzaka stating that Mass Effect 3 would be the best Mass Effect yet, and the premier version of the game would be the Xbox 360 version, as its included voice commands through Kinect put it above the other versions. More importantly, he asked Mass Effect fans to check out EA's upcoming press conference, which started only 90 minutes after Microsoft's event. EA's press conference started off with another look at Mass Effect 3. For this press event, Mass Effect 3 director Casey Hudson took the stage. The primary focus at EA's event was put on Mass Effect 3's story and trying to pull new players in by describing it as an action-packed, climactic ending to one of the generation's best stories. An on-stage demo featured Commander Shepard and their crew going up against one of the hulking death machines known as the Reapers. Additionally, a new trailer titled The Fall of Earth was showcased. The trailer ended with a release date. The Mass Effect trilogy would come to a close on March 6, 2012. Like past entries, Mass Effect 3 was nominated for Best Role-Playing Game and Best Console Game at the show by the Game Critics Awards. Unfortunately for the third entry in the series, it lost both of these awards to Bethesda's Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. Following E3, Mass Effect 3 was showcased at various other events, including the San Diego Comic-Con and PAX Prime in Seattle. In October, the last piece of major announcements for the game came. First revealed in copies of PC Power Play, Mass Effect 3 added a new multiplayer mode, a first for the series. Details on the online co-op mode were given later that day in a forum post on BioWare's website. The following month, however, a beta for Mass Effect 3 was leaked on Xbox Live, giving many people a chance to dig into many of the game's spoiler-filled plot points. BioWare acknowledged the leak in the following days, but stated that the final storyline of Mass Effect 3 would be different from the early leaked version. They also encouraged players to avoid reading the plot leaks and instead experience the story for themselves in full when Mass Effect 3 releases. In the lead up to release in 2012, marketing for Mass Effect 3 went into full blitz. Previous entries in the series had primarily focused on the male version of Commander Shepard. Even during Mass Effect 3's demos, male Shepard was the primary focal point as opposed to the female version of the character that was available since the first entry. Mass Effect 3's marketing tried to change this by showcasing both female and male versions of the character. Female Shepard, or FemShep as she is referred to within the fan community, received her own version of Mass Effect 3 trailers and even managed to make her way onto Mass Effect 3's box art, albeit on the reverse side of the cover art. Mass Effect 3 was released on time following its delay, on March 6, 2012, for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. Like Mass Effect 2, 3 versions of the game were available for purchase. The Standard Edition, a Digital Deluxe Edition, and a Collector's Edition that included a steelbook, art book, and 7 patch, a download code for the DLC From Ashes, and more. Europe and Australia received the game in the following days. Critical reception was strong right out of the gate. IGN gave Mass Effect 3 a 9.5 out of 10, with Eurogamer, Game Informer, and G4 TV's XPlay all giving it a perfect score. These high scores quickly translated into strong sales. During its first month on the market, Mass Effect 3 sold 1.3 million copies according to the MPD group, with nearly 900,000 copies being sold within the first 24 hours of release. However, despite all the critical acclaim and strong sales, controversy followed the game following its releases. Like with Mass Effect 2, EA opted to include an online pass for Mass Effect 3 as well. Unlike last time, Mass Effect 3's online pass was used to unlock the game's multiplayer mode. Owners of a used copy of the game that already had their online pass used were forced to pay an additional $20 in order to unlock the multiplayer mode, despite it being available on the game disc. Day 1 DLC was also present for Mass Effect 3. From Ashes detailed events regarding Cerberus' attempt to take over a human colony in Eden Prime. The DLC included an additional playable character, and was described by many as something that the original game should have included, Collector's Edition or not. The DLC retailed on online marketplaces for a total of $10. The biggest controversy came from the ending of Mass Effect 3. Upon the ending of the game, the player was given 3 choices, highlighted by the colors red, blue, and green. Each of these endings play out largely the same, and left many fans dissatisfied. The narrow focus of the ending left many feeling like they had unlocked any other ending in a video game, as opposed to a more personalized ending, given the many choices players could make on their journey through all 3 games. Some fans even went to extremes over the ending of the game, contacting the Federal Trade Commission and Better Business Bureau in an attempt to claim that BioWare had falsely advertised the title. Within a few weeks of Mass Effect 3's release, Rei Mizaka announced that BioWare would be addressing fan concerns and that an announcement regarding the game's ending would come sometime in April 2012. BioWare announced that a free, downloadable expansion known as the Extended Cut would address players' concerns and add more to the game's ending. Fleshing out the ending and adding more characterization were the primary targets, as BioWare wished to keep the overall ending the same. On June 26, 2012, the Extended Cut was released on Xbox Live and PC. The PS3 version of the Extended Cut was released a week later on July 4th. Opinions were ultimately mixed on the Extended Cut's ending, with some praising the additions and others claiming that it didn't do enough. Regardless, it's important to note the additional time and effort BioWare put into expanding the ending while continuing to work on other projects within the company. Mass Effect 3 was shown off at E3 2012, but in a much smaller capacity compared to previous years. The only major piece of news for the game came during Nintendo's re-unveiling of the Nintendo Wii U. A port of Mass Effect 3, known as Mass Effect 3 Special Edition, was announced as a launch game for the Wii U and included some new gamepad exclusive features. The biggest news of the summer, however, was the second major piece of DLC for Mass Effect 3. In August, Leviathan was announced and released across all platforms for $9.99. The new DLC included a whopping 10 additional missions, focusing on Shepard and their crew's attempts to find a mysterious being in the far reaches of space that could potentially defeat the Reapers. Reviews were generally positive, ranging from scores of 6 to 8 out of 10s. September was a major month of announcements for Bioware. On September 26th, the Mass Effect trilogy was announced for PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3. The trilogy included all 3 Mass Effect games, including a release of Mass Effect 1 for the PlayStation 3. The trilogy didn't come with all the DLC for the games, and the DLC varied between platforms. The Xbox 360 version received no additional DLC, with only the online passes for Mass Effect 2 and 3 included. The PC version included the same online passes and the DLC for Mass Effect 1, which was already available for free on the platform. The PS3 version received the most DLC. Bring Down the Sky, both battle passes, and the DLC released on disc for Mass Effect 2 were all included in the package. Pinnacle Station, the piece of Mass Effect 1 DLC created by Demiurge Studios, was not available for the PlayStation 3 version of the game, and is the only piece of Mass Effect DLC that remains exclusive to the Xbox 360 and PC versions of the game. The other big announcement that month came from BioWare's co-founders, Rei Mizaka and Greg Zishek. After founding the development studio in 1995, both men announced their intentions to leave the developer for new challenges outside the world of game development. The duo had made their intentions known to EA back in April following the release of Mass Effect 3. The news came only one day after BioWare confirmed that a third title in their Dragon Age series was in development. This departure wouldn't have an immediate effect on BioWare or the Mass Effect series, but would come to haunt the studio in the latter half of the 2010s. November was another big month for Mass Effect 3. The Mass Effect trilogy released on Xbox 360 and PC on November 6 in North America, with PAL releases following in the days after. On November 18th, Mass Effect made its debut on a Nintendo console with Mass Effect 3 Special Edition. The Wii U version of the game came with some added bonuses like the aforementioned touch controls. Additionally, the From Ashes and Extended Cut DLC packs were included on the disc. Additional pieces of downloadable content were never made available for the Wii U version of the game. Like with the PlayStation 3 version before it, Mass Effect 3 on the Wii U ran into the immediate problem of not having access to past entries in the series. To remedy this, BioWare created Mass Effect Genesis 2 to cover the story beats of the first 2 games before players jumped into the third entry. Genesis 2 was made available on Xbox 360, PC, and PlayStation 3 in April of 2013 for the price of $3.99. Finally, at the end of the month, the third major piece of DLC, Omega, hit digital storefronts for $14.99. Developed outside of Bioware at EA Montreal, the DLC pack focused on the titular Omega Station featured in previous entries of the series as Cerberus attempts to seize control of it. The pack included 5 additional missions and received mixed reviews due to the lack of compelling story. December was significantly quieter for the Mass Effect series as the Mass Effect trilogy made its way onto store shelves on December 6 for the PlayStation 3. The final big announcement for Mass Effect 3 came in February 2013 with the announcement of Citadel, the final DLC expansion for Mass Effect 3. Citadel, developed in-house by BioWare, was created as the ultimate send-off to the trilogy, with BioWare bringing multiple writers and voice actors in to reprise their roles in a fan service-heavy expansion. Citadel came out on March 5th, 2013, almost 1 year after the release of Mass Effect 3 for $14.99. The release was met with strong reviews from critics and love from fans. An additional 15 missions were included in the final pack as Shepard and their crew uncover a mystery of a conspiracy targeted at Shepard themselves. In the years following Mass Effect 3's release, the Mass Effect series went dormant as BioWare focused their efforts on their first 8th generation release, Dragon Age Inquisition. At E3 2015, the first Mass Effect was announced as one of the first Xbox 360 games made backwards compatible with the Xbox One. Mass Effect 2 and 3 were made backwards compatible in November 2016. Like with Mass Effect 2, I was a little late to the party for Mass Effect 3. Having played the second game during my first semester of college, I asked for a copy of Mass Effect 3 for Christmas at the end of 2012. Being a college student meant I had roughly a budget of $0 for video games at the time, and the opportunity to get new games was few and far between. I was ecstatic to receive a copy that Christmas from my girlfriend and later spouse. Best of all, it was the collector's edition of the game, albeit a used one. Upon returning to college for my second semester, Mass Effect 3 filled largely the same role as Mass Effect 2 had during my first semester. I played the game at any chance I could get, sometimes to the detriment of my own sleep schedule. I ended up downloading some of the apps associated with the game on my phone to keep my adventure going while I walked to class or was eating lunch. I even purchased the game's online pass off of eBay and sunk quite a bit of time into Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, something I'll miss in the upcoming Legendary re-release. The most important thing, at least in the years since the trilogy came out, is how much more I've grown to appreciate Mass Effect as a whole. I haven't played too much of the series since college, but I've always had intentions of returning to the series. I've really grown to appreciate BioWare's knack for storytelling, their focus on making characters as fleshed out as possible, and their decision to include queer relationship options at a time when it was still somewhat taboo in the Western world. It's given me a chance to reflect on my own life and my own decisions. Whenever I played through Mass Effect, it never felt like a game to me. Yeah, I press buttons on a controller to shoot bad guys with a gun. That is very much part of the video game experience. But the parts I remember best, and cherish most, are the ones with Mass Effect's wide cast of characters. As I'm making these videos, I'm awaiting my own copy of Mass Effect Legendary Edition to arrive in the mail so I can fire up the engines of the Normandy once more and save the galaxy from the Reaper threat. To me, that's the real story of the Mass Effect series. It isn't about who made which game or which system they appeared on. It's about the unique and personalized experience of a galaxy that feels foreign and familiar at the same time. I think it goes without saying that I wholeheartedly recommend these fantastic games if you've never played them before. It's one of the best science fiction experiences in the medium of storytelling. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look at Mass Effect 3. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and share this video on your favorite social media sites. In the comments below, I want to know what your thoughts on Mass Effect 3 are. Do you have a story to share like mine? And what do you think of the game's ending? Subscribe to catch the next video as soon as it releases. And, as always, Godspeed, Commander.